This is a little later, those who were waiting. And if you have been patient, now you see that I'm on streaming on social media and on podcast. And asking again for those who are watching it on YouTube to really subscribe, as I just taught always this way. And thank you for those who have done that since we met last week. Today is an incredible topic that I had in mind to share for multiple reasons. Loyalty, loyalty, loyalty is also integrity, integrity, integrity. It's really a mindset of whatever we are and which context we're talking about, wherever you are. This is, of course, related to local cultures, corporate cultures when it's organizations, and also the way we've been raised when it comes to family, to couples, to different other situations where we interact and we relate to each other. So coaching is really that. Mediation is really that. We have to kind of finding a wavelength when we communicate with each other and cultures. And we spoke about that now a few minutes ago with a client, and this morning with another. It's not easy in a global world to communicate with different cultures because we need to understand the others with empathy. Sometimes have to also understand their sensitivity and understand that where we're coming from is not necessarily the same place and we haven't been raised the same way. Why do I talk about culture when he talks about loyalty? It's because it's really one example of where the application of culture is extremely different. When you talk about loyalty, right? You can watch, and even books have been published many, many times all over the world about the sense of fidelity, of a sense of belonging, the sense of branding, and what branding really does to your subconscious. When you like the product of the people you're dealing with, then you stick to them, or you have really something that you want to continue. And it's always discontinued, especially in cultures where there are younger cultures, like the American culture. It's a younger nation than Europe, definitely. And it's much more mobile. There is much more mobility in the US than there is in any kind of European countries, including the UK. And this mobility example is perfect, I think, to kind of get your attention about what I mean about working on your loyalty or not expecting too much when you are in an environment where, yeah, there will be there's a huge layoff. You don't understand how, after so many years, you get a pink slip and someone tells you, "Goodbye, Mr. Employer." I tell you, Mr. Employee or Mrs. Employee or Miss Employee, that it is not uh, because I have anything against you, but we have to make this decision, and you have to leave. Then really you wonder how so many years I gave of my life into this work, into this brand. I've been trusting this brand so much. I'm the ambassador of the brand. Wherever I'm talking about it. I'm proud of it. I am part of the culture of the company. I know where the founders were. In fact, I was friend with one of the co-founder. There is all these things that make you extremely loyal to your employer and to your brand, to your company. When you're employed and you receive this pink slip and you are laid off, it's pretty much a source of anger, of disappointment, of being deceived, and all those different emotions that come along with this, and understandably. But the fact of the matter is, being laid off in the US versus being laid off in Italy, in France, or in Sweden is not going to be the same experience, not the same feeling, and even not the same process or the same law orchestrating this particular process of being laid off. There will be some, in fact, institutions that will have different departments that are, in fact, meant for replacing you and replacing somewhere else to assist you find another job. HR as another kind of um, process as well, from one culture to another culture. And some companies also within their own culture are more, meaningful and more mindful of what an employee goes through when there is a layoff than others, etc., etc., etc. So I wanted to bring this concept of loyalty because I think it's extremely important in the values that we carry, If one thing I think I do when we coach other people that are struggling with dynamics of companies that are complicated, with matrix organizations where it's getting really very complicated, and where decision making is not always happening the same way as you expect. In this type of environments, values is something you carry with you no matter what. Your personal values are, and for those that you really stick to, not negotiable, right? There's some boundaries you have created, even subconsciously, that you will never let violate by anyone. Those boundaries about values. And if you're managing people, if you're a leader, and you also carry those values with you, there's things that you will never do or tolerate. Imagine that in any kind of culture, repositioning those boundaries in another context. Now, I don't want to talk about work only. I want to talk about brand. I've been very, in my career, customer focused, customer centrical. And because of the centricity of customers, I cared a lot about keeping and creating campaigns and being creative and strategic about keeping that customer. Very much so, especially in the high-end type of services or products where I was, hospitality or other things. There's nevertheless, and even it's not necessarily because it's high-end, but I'm just saying the investment, the dedication we had, the amount of money we spent to keep a customer, and in fact, the awareness we had of how much it costs to get and acquire a customer and how much it costs to keep the customer. I don't know if today this is such a high value, as high as it used to be, because competition switched around, because the world became a cyber world, because everything became virtual. And now, with the appearance of the bot culture, having to deal with a chat bot to express a need or to ask a question and get a robot to answer back to me is removing a lot of this experience I want or I expect to have or I used to enjoy. And this, I think, removes a little bit also the layers of what makes someone loyal, because someone is going to like the high-tech side of things. But I think that mostly when you lose the personalization that you feel that you are taking care of personally, even on a low-end product, you are faithful to the product. You're loyal to the product because the product is loyal to you. You know that you can trust the quality. It's going to be consistent, and again, consistent. And this consistency is what really triggers your loyalty to that brand. I think everything I say basically, right, resonate with everybody because this is something basic. There's nothing to search in science for that, but it's been proven statistically that massive consumers, right, are going to really be faithful to a brand and loyal and come back to the same store and to the same salespeople because they feel safe and they feel comfortable. They even enjoy the relationship because some companies will make the effort to make it enjoyable. I'm not even getting to the incentives that we created to keep a customer, right? All the loyalty points and all of the things that you have with the, well, you'll hear real time what's going on here in this desk, but I usually don't have my ring on. And so that's what it is. I think that really mainly what I'm trying to focus on today is to share the values of consistency and of loyalty. And now, when you build a team, which is another topic that is one of the top challenge of the leaders of today, what is it that we are really facing? Trust. And the trust comes from what? Trust mainly comes from that safe place that you are creating as a manager, as a leader. People still feel safe. You inspire trust. You inspire confidence. I can open myself up to you. If I say something to you, I'm not threatened by anything. I can open up. I am really transparent because I don't have any threat coming from you. And I'm getting used to that, to the extent that now I'm going to become loyal to you, very loyal to you, part of your team. and trust very much that if I share with you everything I feel, or almost everything, the things that at least are relevant for the relationship we have, I know that you will gain from this, and you also give me back things to gain. And it's a win win relationship. That also builds up loyalty. By the way, loyalty is not always conscious. Subconscious is probably the driver of loyalty. The experience you're going through and repeat all the time. Again, I'm very insistent in the consistency of things because that's what really creates loyalty. So I hope, right? Today is a little short because I'm late, first of all, and second of all, I was supposed to get a guest. I always forget the month of August, and I share that with you also for the purpose of sharing, so that you also maybe hear it and it gives you a sense of maybe reality, and especially salespeople. They don't remember that August is a very slow month, right? Very slow. July already start to slow down, but August, especially in Europe, is a dead month, and salespeople are still under the pressure of closing deals and things of that nature. Why do I bring the seasonal aspect of things? Is the same. It's the summer, it's the month of August. So I have had a problem with commitments from some guests that I was supposed to have, but they are now on vacation, or they left without remembering. And in fact, they did not remember that they were supposed to be here on this channel with me. So it's good. I'm transparent. I share that with you. It's totally typical of the months of August. Never happens in other months of the year. So it's good. And I'm here with you, but I'm in a shorter span of time. And I really invite you to go on my website, www.andrepolitzer.com. We will have some surprises, in fact, coming up very soon. We're going to emphasize a lot the acting method that we use here, and dedicate really an area of the website to this acting method, because it's, in fact, if I would apply the acting method to loyalty, what would I do? Well, I would again create this awareness that you want in your brand, something that will create that safe place, that will create that trust, that you are caring. Because one of the trigger of trust is someone who cares will get the trust from the person, that person that you care for. And definitely, definitely, those equations are the simple ones that you have to take, define, clarify, internalize, to really understand how human beings function and how their brains function. The psychology of safety, the psychology of feeling safe in your environment, in your radius environment, is key to your brand, to who you are, to how you want to impact people. So I go back again to loyalty. They're going to be loyal to you. They're going to be very attached to you to a certain extent. And it's really an emotional thing, because you gave them the experience that they can rely on each time, the same way, with the same level of intensity and reliability. And because of that, it creates this loyalty that is a magic loyalty to you, to a brand, to a company. And when things go north or south, and we have a little conflict or a layoff situation, the loyalty makes you trust that this has been decided on a good foundation. It's a fair thing that is happening. It's not because of you, it's not targeting you, and it's not unfair to you. It's just economically the only way for a company to become viable again, and you even have a chance to come back. But I don't want to be on any sides when I say that. And the suffering of someone who's losing a job unexpectedly is something that is not describable. It's extremely difficult. That's why I also ask people to be always prepared for this kind of thing. And look, and I'm going to close on this. There's a little contradiction when I just said that, right? Be on the computer and saying that we have a ritual of 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day, looking at the market, if there is a job that I would like to have, that I would like to apply to. Am I a good candidate for this company or for this kind of job? While you are employed, while you are in fact loyal to the company that you work for. But you do this because you have to have insurance. You have to have a coverage that in case something happens, you have a backup. Or another way, it can be also something about negotiating something. You want to raise, you want to be promoted. Well, it would not be bad to have another job on the table, an offer, to be leveraging that and saying, you know what, if you don't want to raise me, if you don't want to promote me, I have a job waiting for me somewhere else. That doesn't make you very loyal when you come with threats like that. But the truth is, make a distinction between what loyalty is really and what is about you, your well being, your family, and everything else. The companies has the same rationale. So be pragmatic about things and look at things with really a lot of wisdom. I think that what we're not aware enough, or what we're losing a lot, and that's one of the big deficits of the last few years with the replacement of human beings by robots to some applications. I mean, all these people you were used to see at tolls, you know, beautiful people in a little cage. They were not very comfortable, but they had their heating system and their air conditioning, and they were taxing you and making and taking your money for you going to the bridge or to the highway and paying your toll. I don't know how much of this has been is still is still existing, right? With all the easy passes and all of that. So the replacement of technology, it doesn't mean necessarily though that we need to be pessimistic and be scared that we're going to lose our jobs. We just have to be flexible that things are changing and that we have to review our training, our education. All of that is changing, and we can't stop that. But the loyalty part, the human part of ourselves, the emotional side of ourselves, and all the boundaries we need to create to protect our values, to protect ourselves from things that are not necessarily very fair or very human out there, obviously are factors that you need to take into consideration. One of the factors that I feel, this is why I brought that topic today, is in deficit, is the loyalty side of things. And yes, when we go to a retail store or we are loyal to a brand, but you see that brand continuously deceiving you, continuously losing the commitment that you always found there, the consistency is not kept. There is really a downgrading of something. And I think of really, and please, those who are in the airline industry, do not be angry at me, but one industry that I feel as a traveler is going really down is the airlines, most of them, the traditional airlines, the discount airlines. It's still the experience of a traveler going to an airport, going to a destination that you carry in your plane, and you charge that person for that service, and it's not cheap, but that person can still expect something from this magic. I don't know if I ever flew, and I flew a lot, one time without having this feeling that, wow, this is amazing, I can fly. Amazing that there's a pilot over there that I'm depending on. Hopefully he's not drunk or on the drug, is going to really fly me safely. But nevertheless, I trust the airline brand I'm into. I am used to the airline. They are rewarding me for being, in fact, faithful to the airline. That's good. But if the service goes down, I'm starting considering other airlines. And if I have a better experience somewhere else, I'm going to go to the other brand. I'm going to go to the other airline. But the airline industry is a concern to me. That's one of the perfect example for the travelers of loyalty, that we are rewarded for our loyalty, but I don't know if the brand in front of us is loyal to us to keep the same level of service and standard. All right. Anyway, I hope that everything I'm saying here resonates with you, that you can take away something, because that's the purpose of this time here. And please communicate with me. You have a possibility of really reaching out, make comments on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, and all the other channels where we are streaming this. And it's, in fact, recording it in the same time. So it's available out there in my profile of all these different applications, and the podcast as well. Thank you for coming today. Thank you for joining, as I say, every week. And I see you next week, hopefully with the guest. But again, let's wait until the first week of September for me to be consistent about having a guest every week or every other week. That's my commitment. Have a wonderful day, have a wonderful end of the week, and see you soon. Take care.